What is going on? What is going on? Welcome to the UNBOXXD podcast, where we take current topics, we unbox them.
Mm-hmm.
My name's Cody Adams. I'm joined by
Chris Boats,
the man, the myth, the legend.
Thank you. Thank you
very much,
man.
I appreciate you. How's life, dude?
Good, man. Good.
Yeah?
This is actually, I wish there was a window in here
well.
so you could see, but this is our first episode that we've done in the daylight. We've always been an evening podcast.
This is true.
Mhm.
Yeah. I just spilled a little coffee on me. Thank you for the coffee,
Yeah,
by the
of
way.
course.
Yeah, we have been an evening podcasting. It's my mom's birthday. It's March 9th when we're recording this. Probably you'll see it a little later. We got dinner tonight. So we're recording a little early.
Yeah,
It
so
is
we
what it
should.
is. Dude, I have this thing I wanted to share with you. So
Okay.
what is your take on motorcycles? Like motorcycle drivers in general, like on the street? Like just, I know that's a random question. But
I mean, my initial thought is that it's
never asked you that.
It's dangerous.
Okay.
Am I okay with them doing it? Sure.
Sure. Well,
But can they be pricks on the road?
Ooh, yes.
I would say yes.
Yeah,
Same
me
with
too.
I would say same with bicyclists.
I want,
They're pricks too.
you know, Che Dorena or whatever, the comedian. He's like,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
If there's one group of people on the face of Earth that you would get rid of, who would it be? And it was cyclists. He's like, they all fucking suck. They're middle-aged, midlife crisis.
Yeah, angry, cranky,
Angry,
think they have the
fucking
lane.
white guys that literally have nothing else better to do on Saturday
funny.
mornings. No, but motorcycles.
Yeah.
So check this out. So I hear this all the time, and I would like to start a motorcycle gang. I know that sounds crazy, but here's the deal. I got this vision. I want all of us to have Harleys. We'll have a black leather, vest that says Victory Lap on it. That'll be the name of our biker
Ooh,
gang.
I like it.
And we'll all come up with stupid nicknames. You know what I mean? Joker and fucking Smiley, dude.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. But for real. But here's the thing. So these motorcyclists, though, they have no regard for human life. And then they sit there and they bitch and complain. This reminded me today because I was on the phone with my mom. I sung her happy birthday and then I went off on a tangent. She's like, okay, honey, so I'll see you at dinner. So these people that ride motorcycles, you people, what do you mean you people? You people that drive these motorcycles, you bitch and complain that we're bad drivers driving our cars and that we're inconsiderate and that we switch
all
lanes
the
without
accidents
looking.
happen because of other
We're
people.
the problem. You're the fucking problem. These motherfuckers, there's a no lane law or middle lane law now, right? In
Okay.
Arizona. So in California, if it's under a certain speed, I think it's 10 or 15 miles an
You can go
hour,
between.
you can go in between.
Yes, yeah.
That again, sub 15 miles an hour. That doesn't mean that you can go 57
highway,
miles
yeah.
an hour on fucking Indian school through my car and someone else's car.
Yeah.
Right up on the back of somebody, shake their head and put their hands in the air like an asshole and drive like an asshole.
Yeah.
You speed, you go in between cars, you cut people off, and then when you get in an accident, you blame us.
Yeah.
And it's fucking bullshit.
Is that is it 15 mile per hour, whatever it was in California? Is that the same here
yeah,
now?
same thing here. And
Okay.
it just got enacted. I think it either passed or is about
I'm
to
sure a
pass.
lot of cranky bikers. But it's honestly, it makes sense. Like,
Yeah. Well, I agree with it. I'm just saying, like, if it's under a certain thing, then stop being an asshole.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
or I will open my fucking car door on your ass, dude.
Well,
Maybe not my car.
no, yeah, your car's nice.
It'd be the low though.
But what have we learned from all of our episodes is that there are a lot of assholes in this world.
There's a lot of
A
assholes.
lot of
in this world.
assholes.
Speaking of that, what are we talking about today?
Today,
It's a good
we
one.
are addressing, it's not a hot topic per se, but it's been a hot topic over the next, I'd say last like few years, especially. But
I think
it
since
is-
1776.
Well, I guess it's probably, it's been an issue for a long time.
Sure.
Not an issue, but a topic of
Controversial
debate.
topic, yeah.
And it is the Second Amendment.
Second Amendment. 2A, as you will.
Yes.
Do you want to read
Not the
definition?
first, but the
Read the
second.
definition of Second Amendment.
All right, you ready, guys? So the Second Amendment, just so there's no, a
For our
game
fact
that we're
checkers.
playing.
Yeah.
It says the Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Yeah. So let's break down the first. Can you read the first sentence one more time?
A
Break down.
well-regulated militia.
So what does that mean? A well-regulated militia.
A well-regulated militia would be basically not the
people.
government. It would be the people.
The people,
Yes.
right? A well-regulated militia. So that means that a well-regulated militia, so us having guns in case the government overreached and
Overreaches.
overstepped,
Correct.
that we would be able to defend ourselves, not to overtake or overthrow, because that's not what this is. We
Yep.
respect our government, take care of our really respect our government, so on and so forth, but not looking to overtake, just looking to self-defend. Okay.
Correct.
Second part.
Well, and it says on that note, it's being necessary to the security of a free state.
Yes.
So you cannot, and again, we've talked about this, but the founding fathers were actually geniuses who studied so many different civilizations and different totalitarian governments. And the irony is the First Amendment is about free speech, your right to free speech, right? Which we've talked about this censorship going on in social media and stuff, and how they were actually in cooperation with the government. So in theory, the government has been trying to look for loopholes to get rid of that, or get rid of your free speech rights. They're violating your rights. Same thing with the Second Amendment is now there's a huge push to get rid of these guns. And that is an infringement directly. Shall not be infringed.
Shall not be infringed. Two things I think of. Number one, I'm 32. You're 29, correct?
Yep.
At the time of this recording.
Yep.
Those guys that founded our country, albeit maybe I don't agree with some of the slavery stuff and things that they did. I mean, think about this. Like, they're 21, 22 years old when they were writing this thing.
Yeah.
You think about how smart they were, how much they had to look into the future from a vision standpoint. And then you look at our 21 and 22 year olds now, and they're a bunch of douchebags that have purple hair and that want the government to take care of them, when those people understood what tyranny looked like.
Correct.
And understood what America was going to stand for. And they put it in the Bill of Rights. It's just something to just think about and notate as you look at maybe you're a parent, you're looking at your 21-year-old and you're like, this fucking idiot.
Yeah.
It's just cool to think. And the other thing is, when you look at the Second Amendment, it really, like you said, it's a controversial topic. Is it a controversial topic? Not necessarily. It just happens to always come up before election. Correct.
And it's you could try to spin it as controversial, when these events happen, these so-called mass shootings, which, we're going to dive really into, but it's not a problem it's not a controversial topic until we actually see a government come in and overstep and try to take your rights, right?
Correct.
And we just haven't experienced that. The whole Western world, we'll have people from Australia making fun of Americans for our guns, or the British making fun of, oh, you crazy, Americans, and you got a bunch of guns everywhere.
But what happened with COVID? That's literally
exactly. And COVID is a big wake-up call that the government is willing to violate your rights, is willing to keep you inside,
put you in camps,
force you to take, and only let you out if you take certain pharmaceutical drugs
that the government wants you to, that hasn't been looked at. So you think about that. They want to disarm us to control us.
Yeah.
For security is what that definition says, for security and self-defense. They want to disarm us so that they can control us. And it was shown in Australia specifically. You said Australia, but Australia and Canada, I mean, they literally keep Canada people indoors. This whole COVID thing.
Yeah, you go 2 miles over a disease with a 99. We've broken COVID down 1,000 times. If you haven't listened, go listen to the episode.
Yeah, and everything was right.
It turned out,
we did that in June of 21, and it is now March of 2023, and we were right about
everything. So let me ask you this: what do you say to people who say, how Biden made the joke, hey, if you want to fight the U.S. military, you're going to need a B-52 bomber, or said some F-16 jet.
Well,
what do you say to people who say there's no point because if the government wanted to defeat you, they would? And I'll give you my input once you're done.
Well, I think we probably feel the same, and we haven't talked about this, so I think that we should be allowed to have those things.
Well, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So maybe not a B-52 bomber, but fuck it. If we can get a pilot's license, and if I was ex-military,
imagine a well-regulated militia. I'm not a U.S. veteran. I'm a militia veteran,
Right.
Yeah.
But I also think that to answer your question, I think that we should be able to have grenade launchers and tanks and fucking. I believe that we should have that stuff.
Yeah.
One, I think that two. I don't think that we would be fighting the U.S. military, as Joe Biden's dipshit ass said, because I think there's a lot of people in the military, and that's tough because then you can go back and say, well, actually, all the good people that would stand up and not fight the American people, they're out now because they had to take this jab.
Yeah.
Right. So think about that, guys. You're not putting 2 and 2 together until I just said that, maybe, but think about that. Those good people that would say, no, I'm not fighting these people because they're trying to defend the country from this shithole that is going down, which is communism. They're gone. They are no longer there. Now they're getting back pay because they got taken out of their roles.
Which is good.
It is good. But I mean, they're not there anymore to help us. My point is, I would hope that the goodness and the heart and the understanding of being in the military, we wouldn't have to fight the military. There would be some that obviously stood with Biden, the regime, and the government, but hopefully they would be like, oh, fuck you. I'm not shooting these people. There are people.
Yeah, right.
Hopefully.
Yeah, and my position is, I think people underestimate the power of the people.
Sure.
And I think
That's a great
this
point.
idea that we could never stand a chance, that is purposely propagated on the people so that you're right. Why do I need guns if I can't defeat them? But let's remind you of a few points in history. Vietnam.
Yeah.
The United States military went in there. We did not win. In fact, they fucked us up with way worse equipment because they didn't play fairly. Similar to the Revolutionary War, the British Empire, the most powerful empire, they were marching in lines with their little stupid cannons. And what are they played? They were militiamen, the Minutemen. They played a different sort of warfare. Same with Afghanistan. Yeah. We sent the U.S. military billions and billions of dollars, sent in Lockheed Martin and Raytheon, and we sent in our best equipment.
20 year,
and we still didn't even win. They're still around. ISIS is back.
So if you don't think,
that's like
China,
what were they doing? They were playing sand warfare out of these little huts and stuff like that. And they actually put up a fight and killed a lot of our men and women, you know?
No, you're right.
So my point is that this idea that there's no point, this all goes to the complying with the government. You know, when you're in a fear state, they can control you and force you to do things. But my point is, don't underestimate your power and your influence. And there's 300 million people. If everyone was armed, I'm telling you, the government will consider twice before going against the people.
The story is, or at least the statistic is actually that there's somewhere between 412 and 660 million guns registered in the United States right now to people. So that's almost 2 per person. And you think about it, that's really not 2 per person because you're talking about people that are probably 18 to 20 plus. So kids aren't in that ratio, number one. So there's a lot of guns. And the other thing that you need to think about, and that we all need to think about, is China and if we do get into this World War III, which it looks like we're breathing down the neck of it, is one false move at this point. I think it's just, and I don't like Putin. We've said that. However, like we do agree with the whole Ukraine thing and them not infringing on NATO and that whole situation and like him, the reasons why.
Yep.
It is like the gracious of his heart that we're not actually in war right now, to be honest with you, because the cutting off that pipeline. Yep. We
huge. Bombed it.
We bombed the pipeline.
Remember we lied, the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. We didn't actually, you know, it's funny. We didn't mention that in the last podcast. That was an important part of this though.
Sure.
We went in there, we sent our guys, we exploded a massive pipeline that gives energy to Russia.
Right.
Is that not a direct?
That's an act of war.
That's an act of war. And that was, I think, was that done before?
It was done way before. It was way before. Summer of last year.
Well, Russia invaded Ukraine. Don't you know that? I was watching this video. It's not the case, but anyways, continue your point.
Yeah. The point is though, you know, he even is on record saying that like we are being led by not the right people and we're not in the right like mind, or we're not America right now. Like he's like, this is not America. And it would be, just remember that if that happens, it's going to come to our shores. I've said this before, but it'll take all of us. So this whole 2A thing that we're about to dive into, all of those guns we're going to need. We're not going to just need the military.
When
it'll
things
be everybody.
hit the fan, you'll be so grateful
that you have a gun.
Yep. And you feminists who are such independent, you guys are going to look for a very strong man to protect you with experience. And, you know, it's just
meanwhile,
the way
hopefully you're not with a passive, gentle, Ahab, pussy, castrated, soft. I can go on and on and on. And we're really on that. You and I are on that right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're not with that type of man that just puts his head down and just takes it.
Correct.
You know, because real men are going to have to stand up both abroad, both, on our soil, and then ultimately stand up for the weaker folk. And no offense, but biologically speaking, the men are stronger than women. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Let's dive in.
Okay.
Let's dive in. So a couple thoughts real quick.
Yeah.
Self-defense versus crime. So if you look at statistics, a lot of statistics for you guys. You can go online, Google all this stuff, go to an unbiased, go to DuckDuckGo, just look at unbiased statistics when it comes to 2A or the Second Amendment.
Or look at bias, but look at both sides of it.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, that's a good point. But look at both sides and see kind of what the narratives look like. But if you look at it all in, self-defense from a gun specifically reported by police across America. Last year, there was somewhere around 2 million defenses, self-defense, and only 300,000 crimes. What's your initial thoughts on that? So a gun was used, 2 million Self-defense, 300,000 in crime.
Well, I don't even think they're connected per se. I mean, I would say
No,
the
it's not, yeah.
the self-defense is, I mean, goes to show that you need weapons. What do weapons do is they even the playing field. So a woman walking home, if she has a weapon and some man is trying to rape her who's bigger, stronger, it evens the playing field, right?
Correct.
And then 300,000 crime, I mean, we have 600 million guns. So it's inevitable that bad people will get bad guns. And frankly, there's nothing we can do to stop that anymore.
Yep.
It's if maybe in 1776, if you stopped guns, you might've been able to succeed. But unfortunately, they're in circulation.
90% of those 300,000 incidents, 90% the gun was gotten illegally by somebody that should not have a gun.
Yeah, I believe that.
The reality is that people that are against 2A, so to speak, that are not for guns don't understand that concept that guns are about 60% of guns. Again, stats, just look them up. 60% of guns are bought on the black market or they're stolen.
Yeah.
So if you have criminals that are always going to get guns, you are going to need guns to fight fire with fire, literally. Right? So that's just my kind of whole point is criminals are going to get things illegally. You need to get them legally, so on and so forth. But self-defense, 2,300,000 from a crime perspective.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. If you look at like homicide all in, because all this crazy, you look at Chicago.
Yeah.
Lori Lightfoot, by the way, got taken out.
Thank God.
It's just so awesome.
Finally, that city woke up.
Didn't Fetterman step down too? There's all these people.
So Fetterman, who I don't know how I guess Dr. Oz was a terrible candidate.
But so
that was a mishap by Trump, I would say. But yeah, Fetterman had a bunch of seizures, so he can barely talk too, and he had to basically
step down.
He voluntarily put himself into a mental health facility because he couldn't function. We're a winner.
Real winner.
He got there.
He's by a landslide too. I'm sure that wasn't rigged. Lori Lightfoot got ousted, but my point is that you have Chicago. I mean, you have all these homicides. You have people killing people. It's crazy. We have crime through the roof. But if you really look at gun crime specifically, actually down. 1993 statistically was the highest point from a gun violence crime homicide rate.
Okay.
Gun violence,
yes.
Homicide rate, 1993, apex.
Yes.
Down about 50%, 2023. So 30 years all in, we're down about 50%.
That's good.
And the population has grown quite a bit. So it's just kind of interesting.
That is fascinating.
A lot of which are gang related. So over half is actually gang related.
Correct.
Gun violence that is kind of out there. And again, these people they're going to get their guns.
Yeah, right.
They're going to get their guns. It looks like all in gun ownership is up quite a bit. I know you have some guns.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it makes sense. It was after COVID because I think a lot of people woke up and realized that the government will take your rights, will force you, basically be tyrannical against you. So you need weapons. And then, there was all the food shortages at grocery markets, the toilet paper shortages. Well, that's why people needed guns is they thought, well, holy shit, we just saw people act so savagely to each other in a pretty quick time frame. And when you're, again, in a fear state,
we got divided
very quickly. And so what you thought, I know probably at least a dozen people who bought guns, if not probably more actually. Well, but a dozen people that never had guns and bought guns at the start of COVID.
Yeah. And that's because unfortunately our government divided us. Black and white. Blue and black, right? Cops and the African-American community, left versus right, mask versus non-mask.
Yeah.
There was a lot of divisive measures put into place and things got scary for a little bit. If you look at the last 2 months, specifically in 2023, if you look at, I think it's December and January, the statistics came out, the more people have purchased a gun legally within inside of that time frame, those 60 days, again, it's 2023, than in the last year combined.
Wow.
So gun ownership has gone through the roof. Actually, specifically in the black community as well, which is a great thing to see. Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. In their communities, they want to be safe too.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's all about safety. It's about having the gun just in case. I think those things are super, super important. But think about this. Everyone's favorite show right now is The Last of Us. I don't know if you're watching.
I haven't watched it yet. I've heard. Yeah.
So I started watching it. Everybody loves it. Everyone loves The Walking Dead. Everybody loves The Purge. Everybody loves when chaos hits the fan.
Yeah.
They love to see the
Fascinating.
underdog go out there. What do they have in their hand? A gun.
Yeah.
They go out and they defend themselves. They protect their family.
Yep.
They survive.
It's a really good point.
That's their favorite shows. And you even have people that are non-2A believers that ultimately that's their favorite fucking show. And they'll boast and brag. You'll look at their Instagrams. Mass shooting this. We're going to dive in this mass shooting thing. And this polarization that the media creates.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they make all these things about non-2A and how they voted Democrat and so on and so forth. And then ultimately
they support
those shows,
like
which is interesting.
That is really fascinating.
You know what's interesting too is you have all these Democratic. If you didn't know, we're pretty pro-Republican on the show. We're very independent. However, we do look at both sides, but you do have a lot of Democrat. Like if you look at crime rates in Democratic cities specifically, it's the highest it's ever been in recorded history. But then if you look at it compared to Republican brand,
did you see Walmart's removing all their places out of Portland, Oregon?
Why is that?
Because they lost, and it was estimated around $100 million from theft and crime in those communities. And here's the interesting part is, if you were to ever get Republicans to give up their Second Amendment, well, you would also have to prosecute crime. And in these, especially Democratic cities, you do not want to prosecute crime. So that means criminals will get out, have guns, and then you want to take away those that are law-abiding citizens away their guns. It's not a reasonable request.
Yeah.
If you prosecuted every single gang member in Los Angeles, threw them in jail. They just did that in, I forgot the country. I don't know if it's El Salvador. They literally arrested like 67,000 they just arrested you regardless.
They had the infrastructure first, and then they said fucking hammer.
Exactly. Hammer, and guess crime went down like 90% because they got him off the streets. No questions. If you're gang related whatsoever, any ties to it, you're in jail. Do I agree with that? No. To some extent, there's got to be law and order.
Collusion.
But sometimes there are days that I'm like, throw them all in. Fuck it. Let's get them off the street.
Well, you got to
fix those communities this fast.
You got to create an example. I think one, and two, you think about like the illegal 90% of crime that happens, gun crime, is from people that got their guns illegally. And you look at over half as gang related. If we're not prosecuting and having law and order on those crimes, then what deters those same human beings from continuing that trend?
Yeah.
There was something I saw that just popped into my mind on Instagram, but there was someone, I forget what state it was, maybe South Carolina. There was a guy who was arrested 32 times, and I'll have to find it and send it out. That's for robbery, for assault, for armed robbery, 32 times. He had 32 different mugshots on this thing. And you flip it over, I think it was on the NRA's page, and you flip it over and people were uprising and going crazy because on the 33rd armed robbery, he fucked with the wrong guy that was concealed carry, and he fucking shot him and killed him. So it was a black guy, the whole black community, everybody was up in arms that this guy died. This guy is a 32-time convicted, but then released armed robbery human. It doesn't matter if the guy's black, white, it doesn't matter what it is. The guy's a piece of shit.
Yeah, right.
And people are up in arms about this guy ultimately being a convicted felon and released, and then got shot and killed on the 33rd try. He should have been locked away for 10, 15, 20 years on the third armed robbery, not the 32nd. Then people get mad because he got fucking shot and killed because he's an asshole.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't matter what race, religion, creed, color, sexual orientation, who you fuck, what God you believe in. If you're a piece of shit, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be uprising because this person is a piece of shit.
Yeah. Just because you might have the same skin color,
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. If a white dude's a piece of shit too and doing that, good.
Yep.
I don't care whatever the race of the shooter is that killed him. I don't care that he's white. He's a piece of shit.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Mass shootings. I think that's something that we could probably end with, or at least dive into. It's probably the most important topic. I know we went through a lot of statistics and all this other shit, but when you look at all in mass shootings, just overall thoughts on mass shootings, I'll just kind of kick it to you. I have some thoughts, but mass shootings in America,
so many of these things we talk about, it's heartbreaking when it happens.
Heartbreaking.
I would say it very rarely happens in places that the citizens have a lot of weapons. That's a very important note.
The Uvalde, Texas one was interesting.
It was, but
there's a lot of Chris and I vary on degrees. not against each other, but we definitely, there's things that we are conspiracy theorists on, but typically come true. And then there's like these conspiracy theories about like Uvalde. I'm sure you've seen all those.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I personally, and maybe it's just me being naive or me being not wanting to think that people are that evil. Don't believe that those things were created. But it's tough. I don't know how you feel about that, but
yeah, I mean, I think we can dive deeper into this in another episode, but I mean, if you've heard of like false flag operations, that it's like a known thing, like CIA, there's so many different ones where they staged an event to get a certain reaction from the public so that the public, react a certain way and vote.
You mean like J6?
Well, yeah, partially, but
you mean like January 6th, 2021?
Mm-hmm. It wasn't that interesting.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, but no, mass shootings. I mean, it's terrible, but it's not. First of all, also important to note this term assault rifle, right?
Oh yeah, let's talk about that.
What is an assault rifle?
It's a longer handgun.
Well, that's my point. Is the idea with the connotation. First of all, there's no such thing as an assault rifle because an AR-15 is not an assault rifle. They don't use that in the military. They use M4s and M16s. So it's just a made up word attached to it to make it sound terrible, but it's no more than a semi-automatic weapon. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
And it's you pull the trigger just like you do a handgun.
Just like you do a handgun.
Right.
And are there more crimes?
Of which two.
Are there more crimes with handguns or assault rifles?
Let me tell you right now. You ready for this?
Well, if you can't guess, yeah.
Let me tell you this right now. There are more murders committed with hands and feet than there are
That's what I was gonna
with
get to.
shotguns and rifles combined.
Yeah, should we remove everyone's hands and feet? Or I was going to say knives. should we get rid of knives? You know, because
So hands and feet, everybody has them, hopefully, unless something happened. Hands and feet, more deaths overall in history than assault rifles that you're so scared of and shotguns combined.
Correct.
Handguns, number one.
Correct.
So we're not going to ban the handguns. We're going to ban these assault rifles because, you know, it is what it is. And it's not even really an assault rifle.
That's my point. It's fucking fascinating though, huh?
It's super fascinating. And then you have these stocks, these bump stocks and stuff. Like I have two. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
They got banned and then they didn't get banned and they got banned again. It just doesn't make sense. The stock that I have, the bump stock that I have slides in, slides out. So you can carry it a little easier.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it more fucking deadly. It doesn't make it more accurate either. I'll tell you what, I can't hit the broadside of a fucking barn. But I'm kidding. But I'm pretty good. But like it's, you know, it's crazy to me to even think that it's even there. But again, if you go back to the original definition, shall not be infringed, they're infringing and trying to take specific small things away. And you guys got to understand that it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen where they fully come in and just take your guns, right? Like that doesn't happen. They're just going to come in and raid your houses and shit. That's not how it works.
No.
Slowly but surely, just like creating communism, just like anything in life, just like you dating a girl, you slowly but surely, you don't just go up to the girl and say, hey, let's fuck right now. Take off your clothes. Let's get married.
Right.
You know, maybe some
right.
people do. I'm kidding. But let's get married. No, you like take them on a date. You inch your way in closer and closer.
Yep.
See if it's a compatible match.
Yep.
It's the same. I know I'm using kind of a weird analogy, but it's the same thing. You get closer and closer, inch by inch by inch by inch by inch by inch until you don't have anything.
Well, that's the thing is, I don't know if you guys have heard the Jordan Peterson talking with Joe Rogan, but he's like, what tyranny or totalitarian governments will do is they will push right to the line, right to where the people are like, this is unacceptable. Yeah. Then they stop, they chill out for a little bit. And then we calm down and then the line has now moved and they just push. And before you know it, you're in an environment where you have, again, no rights.
Yeah.
You have surveillance. You have a digital currency. They can dictate your pricing. You know, you have no more gas vehicles. Now you have, you can only drive 20 miles a day on your electric vehicle. You just don't see it coming.
Yeah.
And they mask themselves, as we talked about with our transgender episode and so many of these things, is they mask themselves as, progressive and human rights and saving the climate. But it's not about that.
Yeah, it's not. It's about control.
Well, and then let's talk about this since our last episode's about Ukraine, which again, if you haven't listened to that, you should. But they want to take away our guns, but then we are arming another country.
Yeah. How does that work? How is rules for me, but not for thee? Like how is it that we are going to, the first thing that we did in Afghanistan was what? Arm them.
Yeah.
We lost all that.
Yeah.
And Biden's pull out.
Yep.
Pull a game weak, dog.
Yep.
But then, you know, they're trying to disarm us here at home. But then the first thing they do with Ukraine is we give them tanks and missiles and, you know, and if these aren't just all military people. Shit, I could say like I'm in the military in Ukraine. They don't know any fucking better. And we're just like, here's a gun.
There's no oversight.
So you see what I'm saying? There's no oversight. Exactly. There's oversight committees and people that think they're doing oversight, but there is no oversight there. What you're saying could not be more true. Disarm us, but then anybody else that's an ally, meaning we are trying to help fight something else, fight tyranny, which is what they're saying Russia is, or fight, you know, Taiwan, fighting China. We're helping all these people. And the first thing that we do is we give them money, we give them guns, and then we give them money.
Yep.
But then they're trying to disarm us and take our money away by inflating the dollar so high that we can't buy anything. You guys understand what's going on, right? Like, they're fucking our economy so that you don't have any money and you're broke and you have to rely on them. And then they're disarming you to not fight against that. Mm-hmm. And then they're doing the complete opposite with other people.
Yeah.
And then when our government wants to enforce things, we have no guns and no money. So we go along with it, or it's easier to do so. And then they have allies everywhere else of which they helped, and they're not going to bite the hand that feeds them. So they're going to come help the U.S.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
How crazy would it be for Ukraine with all the guns that we gave them to come help fucking usher us into a communistic regime?
Yeah.
Oh man, I just went on this fucking.
No. I mean, you're spot on. It's really crazy to see.
But we went on this tangent about mass shootings. So mass shootings, just a couple stats for you guys. 99%. 99. It's been 98.4. Again, a lot of statistics, but you can tell we're well versed in this shit. 98.4%. Call it 99. Of these mass shootings happen in gun-free zones.
Right. Meaning it is illegal to have a gun in those areas. Why does it not stop gun violence? It's almost as if the people committing gun violence don't give a shit what the law is.
And that's the point. A well-regulated militia has the right to bear arms for safety and security.
Yeah. For
self-defense. So criminals are always going to have guns. These mass shootings for schools are terrible. They're horrible. They're heartbreaking.
Evil. Pure evil.
And they happen because there are sick people. There are criminals. They don't give a fuck about you or the law. Don't you understand that?
Yeah.
It is not law-abiding citizens like you and me.
Right.
It is not people that go get a gun license or a CCW or that go register. You've had to buy guns. I've had to buy guns. I have to sit there every time because I don't have my CCW. It is what it is. And I have to get background checked.
Yeah.
It takes an hour. But they go through my background. I have to show ID. I have to do these things. I actually get the gun.
Yeah, yeah.
These guys, the criminals that are making all of this terrible mass shooting shit happen, they're not getting the guns legally.
Yeah, majority are not. I
can't say it enough.
Majority 90%. Are not. Yeah.
So you have 99% in the gun-free zone. You have, if you didn't know this, you can look this up too. This is kind of an interesting fact. You are, as a kid, and this hopefully should give hope to our parents and stuff like that. Like now, obviously, I have a kid in school, so it's nerve-wracking. Mm-hmm. You are more likely to be struck by lightning in a classroom than be shot in a classroom.
Yeah, right.
Right. So it's like the media does a really good job, and this is where I wanted to get to. The media does a really good job of contagion and does a really good job of coverage and narrative and. You know, it is a big deal and it's terrible, but they do a really good job of blowing things up.
For sure.
And it is a huge news story, and any life loss is one too many. But they do a really good job. And mass shootings are contagious. It's actually proven and shown that once one happens, typically a domino effect happens.
Yeah, because the media blows this person up, and a lot of these people are I would say, I mean, honestly, the losers of society. A lot of the mass shooters, right? They were bullied, they were picked on. You know, there's very strange family dynamics, like the Uvalde one. Like it's very funky, and then they see, holy shit, look at how famous this person became.
Yeah, man.
That's a huge part of it.
Well, that and
and then what's interesting too on the
too.
mass shooters, and you guys can look this up, but you don't do research because unless the media, unless your TV screen that's Fox News or CNN tells you, you don't actually research. But most of these mass shooters in recent years, if you read their manifesto that they leave behind, they are left leaning.
Yeah, dude.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's like 9 out of 10.
It's left leaning. They're not alt-right, this term that truly doesn't exist. I mean,
yeah, what is this alt-right thing? Is that like the very far right? So it's like Antifa alt-right? Is that what that means?
I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I don't remember the last time I saw the alt-right burn down cities or the alt-right,
They go to colleges and they actually debate and so on and so forth.
Anyways, yeah, but
no, I mean, it's a valid point, dude. It's a valid point. It's fascinating, but it's also no one's going to look at that. You know what's interesting? I'm doing research the other day on 2X. I knew we were going to talk about it. And if you just Google or January 6th, which we're going to talk about soon too.
Yeah.
Just Google it. I want you guys to Google it because what you'll find is that everything that comes up on 2A or if whatever you Google, it's all the Washington Post, CNN, because and that's not because they're the world's leader or foremost leader in information or journalism, guys.
This is true
it's because they pay for it.
Exactly.
So CNN, the Washington Post, the New York Times, CNBC, all of these left-leaning, political, polarizing media outlets.
Yeah.
They pay to be on the top of Google and Microsoft, Bing, and all these other places. Guys, go look it up. I couldn't even find, not that it matters, but I want to see both sides, which is to your point.
I couldn't find a Fox. If you go to YouTube and type like pro 2A arguments, you don't find it.
Yeah.
Everything is like Vox. It's like these left-leaning, how terrible guns are.
George Soros, the World Economic Forum. So they have more money than you can shake a stick at. They keep printing it. They just print it and they fucking use it and they give it to people like Google and all these other places so that you can't fucking find any article that it goes against the narrative that they're trying to push.
Well, that's why insane. And that's why I really think that's why
we're not blowing up, bro. Honestly.
Yeah.
More than we are. Like, I'm just being honest. Like, we don't have. Oh, you have we both have like 2,000 or 3,000 followers on Instagram. We have like 2,500 views on our YouTube over the last couple months or a week or whatever it is.
Yeah.
We're not blowing up because there's no way. We just got banned. I don't know if you know this.
Yeah,
Bobby told you.
Yeah, he did.
Instagram and Facebook, we got banned for 178 days. We haven't even fucking posted anything.
Yeah.
But they went to our YouTube. They saw what we were about and they banned us for 178 days.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's frustrating.
It is frustrating.
It's frustrating because the truth will set you free. The truth always comes out. It's like death and taxes. The truth always comes out.
Yeah.
And we're just here to do it up front. What's the solution, man? Let's talk about 2A solutions, or at least like what you think. Like we both have a really good idea on mass shootings, what we would do.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about that? I
mean,
like schools and so on. Remember we were talking about the
veterans? I mean, I think schools, we have enough retired veterans and retired police officers that are struggling financially on their one pension, getting into debt because things are getting more expensive.
We have a homeless veteran problem now too.
You can pay them, $70,000. It wouldn't cost that much to put a couple of them in every single school. We ran the numbers. I think
$7.6 billion is what it would cost if you paid them $70,000 a year.
Yeah, which is, I know it sounds like it's so much money, but guys, we've just given Ukraine $120 billion. We've passed stimulus packages that were $2 trillion, which is, I don't know if you know, $1 trillion is 1,000 billion. So it's a very small amount of money.
Yeah.
And it would solve the problem.
It solved so many different problems. And obviously,
so that'd be one solution. And then I'd also suggest everyone be armed. I mean, you got one life.
Walk quietly.
You got one life.
A big stick.
Correct. You got one life, and whether you're a man, you're a woman, your race, your sexual orientation, whatever, if it ever does happen to you, you got to be prepared.
Yeah, 100%. To the veteran thing. So that the idea again is you have a lot of vets that are combat vets or non-combat vets, and ultimately they'd be vetted. I mean, that's another thing too, right? You do have people
mental health
do have PTSD, and we love our veteran community. Thank you guys for obviously all your support and obviously serving our country. But when you look at those things, we got to make sure that they're vetted.
Yeah.
Obviously, we can't have, people having a breakdown at a school. But if you put one veteran inside of every school or to walk around every school with a gun.
Yep.
It is what it is. It doesn't have to be out like an AK-47, like when we go to Mexico and shit. But if it's concealed and, it's obviously that person's there, two things. One, it'll deter the criminal because they have a gun illegally from going there because they know that it's going to be a fight.
Correct. And the mass shooters, they're targeting these schools specifically or grocery stores because they know there's not going to be anyone there to fight back with them.
It's a gun-free zone.
They're looking for victims.
Go to your local Ralph's or your local Fry's or Kroger or whatever. What does it say? No firearms allowed.
Yeah.
Gun-free zone, 99%.
Yeah, exactly.
Gun-free zone. So you can't really have an armed security guard at the Fry's, but you can at schools, and that solves the problem. You don't have to pay him 70, but if you paid him $70K, it's $7 billion a year, and your kids would be safe from school. And you know what? The kids matter, and that would be a huge thing. I think that from a solution standpoint, people need to get educated on what's actually going on.
Yeah.
Look at both sides of the agenda and the situation and what's going on. We need to stop this lobbying. I think that lobbying is the worst thing that has ever happened to our country.
Yeah.
You have professional lobbyists swaying lawmakers into positions via money, monetary gifts, all kinds of different things to vote a certain way when things come up.
Yep.
And ultimately, if you look at actually Sloan is a very, very good movie. It's Jessica Chastain, who's a smoke show too. If
I haven't seen it.
Watch it. Yeah. Sloan.
Newer, older?
It's older. It's like 2016. It's a really good movie. I love the movie. You should watch it. You'd love it. I think Danielle would love it. It's called Sloan, but she's a gun lobbyist and it's pro 2A versus non-pro 2A, and she flip-flops. And the way that she uses one of the characters because she was a victim of gun violence, and it's crazy. You should watch it. It's awesome, awesome movie. So
Sloan.
Anyways, Sloan.
Okay.
But anyways, I would definitely, stop lobbying. And again, I agree with you. Carry, I don't carry all the time.
Shoot. I mean, you got to feel comfortable with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you, if you never use it.
Get educated, man.
Exactly.
Like, it's not that hard to get educated on guns.
But this all goes back to its point. It's not necessary. It seems like overkill until disaster strikes. It seems overkill until someone mugs you on the street. It seems overkill. Yeah. When you're getting robbed or raped, or it does, but it's for the off chance. It's there as a precaution, and it is your right that shall not be infringed.
Yeah. This education piece, I just want to touch on it real quick and we're done. It's not, we should, in my opinion, humble opinion, everybody should have a gun and everybody should be educated on how to use it and how to unload it, clean it, because that's what other countries are doing too. But for more reasons than that, because you also like gun violence in the home and like kids grabbing their guns. Well, that happens because the parents are uneducated.
Yeah.
So they leave their fucking gun fully loaded on the counter when the gun should be locked in a safe that only you have the key for or a thumbprint for. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the education piece, as long as if everyone had a gun and everyone was educated on how to use it, how to clean it, where to store it.
What if kids took a course in school, like how to handle a gun and how to take care of a gun and the safety precautions and never point and blah, blah, blah. Would that help?
Yeah. I mean, my little brother's 21. We just took him shooting. The kid was out there like this. He looked like he was like in training day.
Yeah.
And then he was shooting like, and like he's going to see this. Sorry, dude. How like in like Grand Theft Auto, you don't put the stock in the AR right here. You shoot like this. That's how you shooting like a Tommy gun. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Can you put it in here and actually shoot like a normal human? Anyways, but the education piece I think is huge. So talk through a ton. We're obviously two pro A.
For sure.
Two pro A guys. We talked through.
Well, and I like to finish too. Neither of us we're not like huge gun guys. We're not like the guys who have 50 guns that obsess over it. And we have friends. Yeah, for sure. But like, we hope we never have to use it. No, I hope I never am in a position. I like, that'd be devastating. It'd be hard to deal with. Yeah. It'd take someone's life. Could I do it? Probably, but but you don't want to. I mean, it's not the thing to do.
I don't want to kill somebody.
But we still are pro Second Amendment not because we love guns, but because we have studied history. We've studied other governments. My dad's from another country. I've heard of communists. Like, I hope it never comes to that, but unfortunately, the trajectory that we're heading does not give me confidence.
Sure.
So now it feels malicious to why people are trying to take it away.
Yeah, 100%.
So
I can't end it any other way.
So I think that's my final thoughts.
Cool. Guys, follow us. We got
Please.
a new YouTube channel. It's just the Unboxed Podcast. Super chill.
Just toss it a follow.
Robbie is going to place it right here. You can literally click the link below. And please follow us. Follow us on Instagram at Mr. Cody Adams, at
Chris Boats.
BOCZ, like two boats on a water, just spelled a little bit differently.
Yep.
We appreciate you guys. We love you guys.
Love you.